There's a kind of wealth that never blinks. It doesn't flex. It doesn't ask to be noticed. It doesn't live in a showroom or flash past you in a rearview mirror or need a caption. It lives somewhere nobody ever points a camera. Inside an account nobody checks, and inside, a mind that finally gets to rest. Which means you've already walked past truly wealthy people more than once. They were ahead of you in line, wearing a plain watch, driving a car that's seen better years. No signal. No performance. Meanwhile, across town, someone was broadcasting success from every angle, and quietly, 2 missed payments from losing it all. There's a mechanism deciding this. Right now, year after year, it decides who builds something that lasts and who just builds a stage set. It doesn't run ads. It doesn't sell a course. It works in the background of ordinary lives, far from applause, and that silence is exactly why it works. Most people spend their whole lives chasing the look of freedom and never get near the real thing. Not because they didn't try hard enough, because nobody ever showed them the difference between appearing rich and actually being free. 2 completely different games. Most people are only ever taught to play one of them. So today, I'm going to show you the other one. The real numbers. The invisible habits. And the reason the most unremarkable person you know might be more financially free right now than anyone you secretly envy. Stay with me to the end. What comes next will change how you look at money for good. If you clicked on this, some part of you already suspects the story you were told about money is missing something. You're right. We were raised to admire noise, the new car, the vacation post, the constant upgrade. Nobody taught us to admire silence, and silence is exactly where real wealth lives. I'm Megan Carter, and this channel exists for one reason: to show you the side of wealth nobody films. Slow, repetitive, unglamorous, and absurdly effective. In the next few minutes, you're going to see numbers that might make you rethink who around you is actually doing well. You'll see why the most average person in your life could be closer to freedom than the executive with the loudest car in the lot. And you'll see the one habit, invisible, boring, almost embarrassing, that separates people who build real wealth from people who just build the appearance of it. Before we go further, 30 seconds. If you want more of this, honest, no hype, hit like right now. It's the single biggest thing that gets this in front of someone who needs to hear it today. New here? Subscribe. Every week, same thing. What wealth actually looks like once you strip away the performance. Now tell me something. Comment below. Country, city, wherever you're watching from. I read everyone, and I love watching this community stretch further than I ever expected. Done? Good. Because what's next rewires how you see your own bank account. Here's the idea. Once it lands, it changes everything. Wealth doesn't announce itself. Spending does. The watch, the badge on the hood, the square footage in the home tour. None of it is wealth. It's money that already left. You're not looking at what someone has. You're looking at what they used to have, right before they spent it. A car payment makes this simple. Finance a $50,000 car, and you're signing up for roughly $700 a month for years on something that loses value the entire time you own it. Now picture someone else. Same $700, unremarkable car. Boring, quiet investment instead. 6 years later, at the market's long-run average, that boring decision is worth nearly $70,000. One person is wearing a symbol. The other is building a floor under their whole life. And here's the part that stings. From the outside, the second person looks like they're doing worse. That gap between how wealth looks and how wealth works is where almost everyone gets lost. We don't have to guess. The largest study ever done on self-made millionaires followed 10,000 of them. It quietly wrecked almost everything people assume about how the rich got that way. 79% got no inheritance, not a small one, none. 1 in 3 never earned 6 figures, not once in their entire working life. Read that again. A third of them never had what most people would call a good salary. And they crossed $1 million anyway. The careers on top weren't glamorous. Engineers, accountants, teachers, only about 15% ever held a senior executive title. This wasn't a boardroom. It was a quiet army of ordinary earners doing unremarkable things for a very long time. More than 9 in 10 said the same thing. Work hard, stay consistent. No brilliant trade, no perfect timing, just repetition nobody would ever film. That repetition works because of something almost too boring to explain: compounding. Over the last century, the broad U.S. market has averaged around 10% a year. Any single year is chaos: up 30, down 20. Stretched across decades, that average does something your gut isn't built to expect. There's a shortcut: the rule of 72. Divide 72 by your return, and that's roughly how many years your money takes to double. At that average, it doubles every 7 years or so. $1, $2, $4, $8, $16. The early doublings feel like nothing. The later ones are enormous. $500 a month into a plain index fund for 30 years, and you cross $1 million. No stock picking. No genius move. Now here's the number that should make anyone under 35 lean in. Start that same $500 at 25 instead of 35, and you don't end up with a little more. You end up with roughly 3 times as much. 10 quiet years, done early, worth more than $1 million later. One number. This is the one. Retirement data across tens of millions of American workers puts the average balance around $168,000. Encouraging, until you find the median. The person standing dead center of everyone else. That number drops to about $44,000. The average is nearly 4 times the median. That's not a rounding error. That's the whole story. A small group of quiet, consistent savers is dragging that average up, while most people sit near $44,000, a number that produces, at a standard withdrawal rate, about $150 a month in retirement. That's the real emergency, and nobody's posting about it. So how do they pull ahead? It starts embarrassingly simple. They automate. Real wealth isn't willpower every month. It's a decision made once, and then forgotten. The money moves the day the paycheck lands, before it can be felt, spent, or talked out of. Underneath that, a second, unglamorous layer: the emergency fund. A high-yield account pays around 4% right now. A typical big bank account pays almost nothing. Move $10,000 over, and you go from a couple of dollars a year to roughly $400 for paying attention once. But the interest isn't the real job. The real job is emotional. Car dies, job disappears. The person with 3 to 6 months of expenses handles it and moves on. The person without it does the most damaging thing an investor can do. They panic. They sell. They lock in the loss right when patience mattered most. Then, debt. In that same study, 3 out of 4 millionaires never carried a credit card balance. Ever. 94% lived on less than they made. High-interest debt is compounding, pointed the wrong way. Same patience, opposite direction, and last, the paid-off, reasonably sized home. Homeowners, median net worth near $400,000. Renters, closer to $10,000. Almost 40 to 1. Nobody films the last mortgage payment, but it quietly erases the biggest expense most families carry right when their income starts to fade. Meet Ethan. $200,000 a year. Looks the part completely. Car, watch, house, vacations. Everyone assumes he's set. But his spending climbed with every raise he ever got. He saves almost nothing. Income stops. His whole life comes apart in about 2 months. Now meet Grace. Retired nurse. Never cracked 6 figures. Same modest car for over a decade. Same small house for 20 years. Quietly invested a piece of every paycheck for 35 years. She's a millionaire. Ethan looks rich, and he's fragile. Grace looks ordinary, and she's free. Only one of them has to worry. And it's not the one you'd guess. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people alive. Still lives in the same modest house in Omaha he bought in 1958 for around $31,500. Worth well over $1 million now, more than 40 times over, while he simply lived there. He's long been known for driving himself, keeping things simple, once favoring an old flip phone over anything newer. His whole philosophy in a sentence: past a certain point, your possessions start owning you. Even now, with markets at record highs and money pouring into fast, flashy bets, Buffett keeps saying some version of the same thing. There's more money to be made getting people to gamble than helping them invest. That's the trap. In one sentence, the financial world is loud because loud is profitable for whoever's selling it to you. The boring path has no marketing budget. Nobody gets rich selling you patience. So here's what real wealth actually is. Underneath the noise. Forget the number you show other people. What matters is the number of mornings you wake up without dread. Real wealth is absorbing a surprise bill, a job loss, a bad year, without your whole life quietly falling apart. And if wealth is this boring, it's also learnable, repeatable, available to completely ordinary people on completely ordinary incomes. No viral moment required. No genius idea. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference, automatically. Keep a cushion so you never have to panic. Stay away from expensive debt. Then, do the hardest part of all. Wait, while it compounds. The people who look rich are often just spending their future to decorate their present. The people who are rich usually look like they're getting away with something completely ordinary. Choose to be the second kind. Let your life look a little boring on the surface, while the real thing builds quietly underneath. One day, you'll be the calm person someone else looks at and never suspects a thing. If this shifted how you think about money, even a little, tell me in the comments. Which number hit you hardest? And subscribe, because next week, the money lessons school never taught any of us, the ones that make every habit in this video click into place.